UFC 232 has made many different headlines in the past couple of weeks, primarily due to a number of different reasons involving Jon Jones. However, the main event of that card features a rematch between former light heavyweight champion Jon Bones Jones taking on #1 light heavyweight contender Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson in a rematch that saw the first fight end via split decision that could be argued as one of the greatest fights in mixed martial arts history, let alone the light heavyweight history. If you were to debate which one of these two men won the first match, you'd be wasting your time at this point, because come December 29th, Saturday, we will see a rematch and we will finally find out who is the best light heavyweight in the world currently. Now, before I go into this whole Jon Jones, Alexander Gustafsson analysis with the fight metric, I want to give a quick little update on what happened. And so Jon Jones basically got flagged by another USADA anti-doping violation, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission, where they're originally supposed to fight in Las Vegas, Nevada, said Jon Jones cannot fight here. The UFC ultimately ruled, let's not pull Jon Jones off the card, but let's pull everyone off the arena and fighting at UFC 232, originally in Las Vegas, and let's move him to Southern California. Obviously, that is something that could raise another video, that could raise conversations for days. I'm not going to get into it. That's not where you guys tuned in, but I will be saying my piece in that I think Jon Jones is a complete disgrace to the sport of mixed martial arts at this point. I think his legacy has been tarnished by all of his outside the arena stints, but that is neither here or there. Let's just jump right into the fight conversation and talk about the statistics between these two men. The first person I'm going to pull up is obviously the man himself, Jon Bones Jones. So what can we say about Jon? Well, he's 31 years old, stands at 6 foot 4 inches tall. He's quite a taller, lankier light heavyweight. Trains out of Jackson Wink MMA. He holds an impressive professional record of 22 wins with only 1 loss and 1 no contest. Really, there's no point in going through his sherdog history, his fight history, because it's all green. Little red here comes by disqualification loss he suffered at the hands of Matt Hamill back in 2009, where he was gaining significant momentum building up to his eventual championship match against Mauricio Shogun Rua. That did not seem to harm Jon Jones in any way, shape, or form. Because if you look at this, I mean, he beat Ryan Bader, beat Shogun Rua, Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Alexander Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, Daniel Cormier, Ovince St. Preux, and his last match against Daniel Cormier back in 2017 was overturned by the California State Athletic Commission because, well, he violated the anti-doping violation. There's nothing more you could say. I mean, this guy goes in and he beats you in more ways than one. He's not a one-dimensional fighter. He's not just a great wrestler. He's a phenomenal wrestler with savage striking, with pinpoint accuracy, elbows, knees, lethal power, and he has a very unique submission game to boot. I mean, he beat Vitor Belfort via key lock. He beat Quinton Jackson via rear naked choke. He beat Ryan Bader versus guillotine choke. Lyoto Machida by guillotine choke. So to say this guy is one-dimensional could be the farthest thing from the truth. He is as dangerous of a fighter that we have ever seen in the history of the sport. Wherever it goes, however it starts, wherever it ends, it seems that Jon Jones always seems to get his hand raised at the end of the day. Now, if we look at his fight metric, I mean, some very, very impressive stuff here. First of all, born July 19th, 1987. He's an orthodox stance. Significant strikes landed per minute, 4.41 in the light heavyweight division, especially going back to his sherdog days. This era, this kind of early 2015-ish, 2010s era was probably the most stacked era of the light heavyweight division history. You had monsters like Rashad, Lyoto, Rampage, Chael, Gustafsson himself, Ryan Bader, Shogun. I mean, to have a significant strikes land per minute at 4.41 against a beast like that, that's just phenomenal. It really is. There's no other exception to it. His significant strikes absorbed per minute are 2.12, and considering the fact that most of Jon Jones's fights go the full 5 rounds, considering it's a championship fight, that is outstanding. To only absorb 2 significant strikes per minute is ridiculous, in my opinion. His striking accuracy is 55%. That's neither good or bad. I think that's a pretty average statistic with all things considered. His takedown average is 2.13, considering he's not from a wrestling background, considering that he's fought guys like Daniel Cormier, like Ryan Bader, like Rashad Evans. That's ridiculous. Takedown accuracy, 50%. But the highlight here is his takedown defense. He has the highest takedown defense in the UFC of 95%. With that statistics, please remember he has the most and highest takedown defense with the longest amount of time spent in the octagon. You can be a new fighter, stuff a takedown, your takedown defense can be 100%. That does really make you the best takedown defensive artist in the organization. But in Jon Jones' case, he is the greatest takedown defense artist ever. He's been taken down, I think, twice in his fight against Alexander Gustafsson and taken down a single time against both of his fights in a Daniel Cormier saga. You will have a very hard time taking him down. Very, very few people have been able to break the code of how to take Jon Bones down, especially considering how lanky he is. Typically, the lankier you are, the easier it is to grab a hold of your limb and to take you down. And give you an example, Daniel Cormier, he's a short, stocky build type fighter. His center of gravity is much more concentrated than Jon Jones. So when he gets a limb, typically a leg, it should be easier for him to just pile drive his whole weight down to the ground and take Jones with him. Not the case like we've seen time and time again. But let's flip over to the person who will be challenging for the light heavyweight championship. He will be challenging for B, redemption against Jon Jones. And lastly, he will be challenging the legacy that remains of Jon Jones within mixed martial arts. And I am, of course, talking about Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson. First things first, he is a mirror copy of Jon Jones in all the physical elements. He is 31 years old. Trains out of Sweden, splits his camp between an assorted variety of places throughout the world. He stands at 6'4" tall, and he holds an impressive mixed martial arts record of 18 wins with 4 losses. We got two lengthy guys fighting it out once again. We've seen the first fight, easily is one of my favorite fights of all time. We look at his sherdog, and it is not as green as Jon Jones's. He has his ups and downs, but let us not shy away at the fact of who he has had those ups and downs with. And let's closely examine the losses. So he lost to Phil Davis via anaconda choke. That was the second fight within the UFC. Probably was what he needed most, because that told him and that showed him that he is not invincible. That if he lets himself open and lets himself get taken down, he will be choked out by more dominant wrestlers. And since then, he went on a dominant spree, collecting 6 victories, getting a shot against Jon Jones. And like I've said before, he did lose that fight. He came back, beat Jimmy Manuwa, got knocked out by Anthony Johnson at a point where it looked like Anthony Johnson's fists were made of cement, and the slightest touch puts you out. No excuse, but let us not overshadow how good and how strong Anthony Johnson is. But truly, the fact here that stands out to me the most is his fight against Daniel Cormier. It was a 5-round loss via split decision to Daniel Cormier. A split decision against arguably the greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. Easily top 3. That tells me that a judge thought that Gustafsson beat him. And these are trained judges. I know a handful of other people that agree and thought that Gustafsson edged DC out. But nevertheless, it was a competitive bout. And it shows that Alexander Gustafsson is easily in the top 3 conversations with Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier in the light heavyweight division. But let's look at his fight metric, and there's a bit of a difference here from Jon Jones' fight metric, which I'll have as a side-to-side in just a moment. But significant strikes landed per minute, 4.18, very similar, very impressive considering all the people he's fought. His striking accuracy, 40%. I think as a striker, I think as a person such as Alexander Gustafsson, that number should be higher. I think 40% at his level, at his striking background, is just too low. He would need to polish that up. His significant strikes absorbed per minute is high. It is high. 3.4 against people in the light heavyweight division. It only takes one punch to put you out. That is something that causes him to lose rounds. If you look at the Jon Jones fight, the significant strikes absorbed were much higher to Gustafsson than Jones, and Jones landed a lot more significant strikes in that fight in every single round. And of course, with that statistics, with its meaning, it definitely gives the judges an easier decision to make when deciding who won the round and or who won the fight. Takedown average 1.76, not much of a takedown guy, but he is one of the very few people who were able to take down Jon Jones in a fight. Takedown accuracy 40%, takedown defense 85%. 85% against people like Daniel Cormier, like Jon Jones, against people like Phil Davis. That's a pretty good statistics to have under your belt. And your striking defense is a pretty decent 52%. But let's look at the side-by-side comparison between Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. So we have the records. The average fight time, Jon Jones spent much longer, almost a full round longer in the octagon than Alexander Gustafsson. It shows here that Gustafsson's 1 inch taller, while Jon Jones has a 5-inch reach advantage. Both of these fighters are orthodox. Both of these fighters are the same age. Significant strikes landed per minute. Jon Jones lands more than Alexander Gustafsson by a small amount. His striking accuracy is 15% greater than Gustafsson's, and he absorbs a full strike and a half less than Gustafsson per minute. And his striking defense, Jon Jones etches again Gustafsson by 10% in a defense category. If we look at the grappling aspect, takedown average per 15 minutes, Jon Jones has much higher. He lands almost 2 takedowns per 15 minutes, while Alexander Gustafsson is just shy of 2. Takedown accuracy, we have 50% versus 40%. That is a statistic that really isn't going to mean much in this fight. We may see it in the later rounds when a fighter needs to secure a round when they aren't sure if they are winning the fight or losing. But a takedown defense is where that statistic is going to be one of the most important ones in this fight. When in the later rounds, I'm talking even 3, 4, 5, if the coaches and the fighter aren't sure who is winning, if there isn't anything significant like a knockdown or, a submission attempt or a very obvious one-sided dominant round, they're going to resort to takedowns because of how much they're weighed in the judges' eyes. Takedown defense is also very impressive to show the judges that you are not easily taken down. That no matter what your opponent tries to do, you can hold your ground, you can resist their pressure, resist their attempt, and stay on the feet and gain back control, gain back that octagon generalship. Statistically, the fight should go to Jon Jones. And with all the history and drama that involves Jon Jones, as a fighter or a fan of mixed martial arts, I want to see Alexander Gustafsson win. Biasly, and I'll openly admit it, biasly, I want to see Alexander Gustafsson win. Statistically, I think Jon Jones should win. However, one key factor that I want to bring up here is the last time each of these men fought. Alexander fought Glover Teixeira back in 2017. Jon Jones fought Daniel Cormier back in 2017. Both these guys have been away from the octagon for the same amount of time, regardless of what the reason may have been. Both these guys at the same age. This, in my opinion, could in fact be an easy win for Jon Jones, but I think Jon Jones is looking too far ahead. I think he isn't giving Alexander Gustafsson the respect he deserves as a fighter, as an elite light heavyweight. I think Jon Jones already has his eyes set on either Brock Lesnar or Daniel Cormier, while I think Alexander has his sights only set on Jon Jones. And by this, I'm going to give the winner via split decision to Alexander Gustafsson. I think Alexander Gustafsson mentally should be there. I think he will do more than he did in the first fight. But I think Jon Jones is just going to do less in this fight. I think he's not going to perform as well. I think he's going to be a little bit flat-footed. I think he's going to be blinded by all the external factors going on, especially 1 week out. The hate, the change, and playing the heel character, while Alexander Gustafsson is definitely playing the babyface character. So, my decision, Alexander Gustafsson via split decision. But let me know what you guys think of this video. Let me know what you thought of the analysis breakdown, the fight metric breakdown. Let me know who you think is going to win and how. But as always, make sure you leave a comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't. If you like what you're seeing, let us know if you do or don't. But as always, I hope you guys have an excellent day.